Good morning, good afternoon. How are you doing? It's Teshua Jogona here, and as usual, I'm always happy to be here. If you're an existing member, thank you so much for sticking around. If you are a returnee, I do not take you for granted. If you have just been passing by and saw Teshua Jogona and you stood there, feel welcomed, So today I want us to talk about some of the things that actually you've done everything and finally you're in the UK. But do you know it does not stop there? Your visa, your certificate of sponsorship can be revoked. It can be taken away. And you're given 2 months or 60 days. And you're told, we expect you after the 60 days, you should be out of this country. And those are the things we are going to talk about. Remember, disclaimer, I'm not an immigration lawyer. I do not work with any recruiting agency. I do not recruit agency. I do not own any recruiting company. My experience, my content is based on experience, observations, and visiting the www.gov.uk. That is a government website where most important information is found. So guys, I will repeat again. I do not offer jobs. But I search for jobs just the way you would search for jobs, and I post them on my content. If someone is employing out there, I will look for those jobs and I will post them in my content so that you guys can apply. However, I do not employ and I don't have direct employment connections. Okay. The reason why I started that way, it's of course because people will be like, oh, why don't you connect me? Blah, 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 blah. So I just want to start it that way so that people know I do not connect. But my content is very, very influential. It's very, very important for someone who is looking to come to the UK as a visitor, as a worker, and so on, or someone who just like to know about a country. So, do you know you can do everything, and then you come to the UK. You are here, you've started working, you've gone for your first week of induction and so on, and then boom, your visa is revoked. Your 3-year visa is revoked. Or your certificate, because if your certificate of sponsorship is revoked, then, and you came in because of work, then you have no status of staying in the UK. And this is why I've kept saying that since this provision was given, a lot of people, both good and bad, have come up to support people. Recruiting agencies have gone up and so on. So what's happening is, and I keep saying, some recruiting agencies have come up. Actually, let's start here. Before you are recruited because a company or a hospital or a care home or a factory reached out to a recruiting agency to recruit you on their behalf. What does that mean? For a successful recruitment, that recruiting agency get paid by the factory, the hospital, or the care home that wanted you. So why are you paying? Why are you paying? I understand. Because I'll put myself in your shoes. Because a company will put up a job, maybe one job that is like one job that they are recruiting from overseas, and that one job will be applied by like 10,000 people. Because remember, this visa does not only apply to people from Kenya, it applies to people from all over the world. So in Africa, don't think you're the only ones that want this provision. No, 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 no. If you come to the UK, there is a lot of people from Asia. There is a lot of people from Philippines. So you can imagine one job will be applied by so many people. So I do understand where you come from. But if a recruiting agency maybe comes and asks and tells you know what, I can recruit you directly, and directly meaning I know you know directly, instead of you going through the whole process of applying or like jobs, like 100 jobs in a day, keep applying on the phone, you have that one agency, you know, it's recruiting you, it's taking you through the process, but you'll have to pay £5,000. Anyway, let's leave that there. So you've paid your money. For you to pay the 5,000, probably you've sold a piece of land you had, you've raised that money with your family and friends, and so on and so forth. So you come here and you start working. But I'm giving you scenarios. Remember what you were doing back home? You were a teacher, probably a head teacher in a school. That's a very high position, right? You come here, you're working as a carer. You've been a teacher and a head teacher accumulatively 10 years until 2022 when you've come to the UK. But in your CV, it shows that you also have care experience. You have care experience the last 3 years. Do you see where I'm coming from? So, the company that brought you then goes ahead to recruit more and more of you. But because things are becoming tight, and the Home Office is actually trying to, remember the government has also changed. Yeah? And some of the people that have been recruited in the new positions, they're doing their job. Yeah. So what happens? You come in, start working. Of course, you've never done care. You've always been a teacher. So one, you have nothing, you don't know anything to do with care, but you had experience in care. But you've always been a teacher. The company that brought you brings more people, but some of the people in the mix do not get here. And they start raising concerns of the fact that they paid a certain company that did not bring them here, blah, 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 blah. Home Office takes interest, and Home Office starts investigating that recruiting agency. They're investigated, and then they come, oh, okay, if that's what's happening, let's see the people that were brought here. Did they meet all the criteria? So they check the people that have been brought. And unfortunately, you're among the people that have been picked to check if you met the criteria. So they check. They ask you, Tesh, how comes in your country? How comes in your country you are a head teacher, blah, blah, and then you've chose to come and do care? Please. Those are the questions that they might, some of the questions, something like that, because someone doesn't expect you to leave being a head teacher or something, and then you come and become a carer. And then you don't have a good answer for it. Yeah? Another thing is, how were you able to gain experience as a head teacher, and it shows that you worked in a certain place and became a carer? You have 3 years or 4 years, 5 years experience at the same time. How? Please have the answers. Because if you don't have the answers, remember your company is already being investigated for fraud. And you're also here, your answers are not meeting, they're not making any sense. Yeah? So what have we learned today? What we've learned is dates are very important when you're doing your applications. Dates are very important. Whatever your CV has, let it be very real. And you know the dates that you worked at this job, the day you stopped at this job, the day you started, even if you're working two jobs at the same time, but the dates, let them make sense. Yeah? Let them make sense. Another thing is how we live, we kind of, how we might live our life back home. Some things here you come and you just have to change. Yeah, and have done this about confidentiality and so on back home. Remember, you would rather be faced by, you'd rather be faced, or you'd rather be charged, but you went ahead to explain something and say your truth, rather than be charged because you were sweeping things under the carpet. What do I mean by that? It's something that you think that it's not, or you can hide. There's some things you cannot hide in this country. You cannot be corrupt about. So what I said, it's something like, just know, if someone falls, be it wait, the one you've seen, what is it called? Someone saw the fall, or it wasn't seen. Maybe you find someone down. It has to be recorded. Record it. If anything happens and you feel it has, remember, if it's not written, it did not happen. So please update as this even if it means you're feeding someone and that someone is struggling to swallow. Please write it in the day care plan. Because it's such kinds, and if for nurses, if a mistake is done, be it medical or something, go straight on and report. Yeah, because something can happen. You might hide someone fell and you assist them up and they're in the bed. Remember, if mostly it's elderly, within 2 days that person, something happens and they passed on. When the postmortem is done, they find out that person had multiple whatever, because, and the conclusion can be they probably fell. You can imagine what that can lead to. It will be different if you went ahead and said, I found this person on the floor, or this person was trying to stand up, and by the time I got in the room, they had fallen down. Exactly what happened, just write it, just write it down, or let your manager know. So those are other things that they might, they can lead you to probably being sentenced because of not passing the right information, or withholding information, or negligence. So remember, if you are sentenced, I don't think you'll be coming out there and then going back to work. No, you'll be taken back to your country. Yeah? So those are the things that we have to be very, very careful and learn about. So just know the fact that you've been recruited and blah, 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 blah. When you come here, remember, it's not over. When your job requires you to have a certain skill or a certain training, please, if you don't have it, say you don't have it. For example, in care, if it asks you specifically, you must be driving, then my friend, you must be driving. Because probably that job, most of it entails you driving to your clients, driving one home to another to see your clients. So you can imagine, if you said you're driving, you can drive, because remember, yes, you can drive, but do you even have the license? And then all the paperwork is done, you are here, and then you cannot drive. Hey! Huh? So be truthful. Yeah? Be truthful. Even if a company that is willing to recruit you will recruit you regardless. If they are happy with with your interview, with what they can see so far, even if you say, I am not a driver, I don't drive, But by the time all my paperwork are through, I would have finished my driving lessons. Because remember, in interviews, they write everything that you have said, right? Yeah. So you say the truth. If there's something you're working towards, let them know I'm working towards this, but I have this and this and this. Because if you come here and what you said, it was a lie. Hey. So, my people, there's a lot of things that have been happening around, and some of the rules or guidelines, they're put in place because of people's attitude, people's behavior, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things happening. Please be careful. Always, if you don't know something, say you don't. I'd rather someone say they don't, can you help me, rather than going ahead and doing something that you knew you did not know. Ask questions. Yeah. Always try and cover, they say covering your back. Yeah. If you're not sure, don't do it. Yeah. Because you did not come that far to end up in problems in our country. Yeah. In this country. So take care. I wish you all the best. Continue applying for jobs. Continue doing your training. And please, don't go paying 300, 400 pounds for trainings that you can find online for free. If you don't have Florence Academy, please install Florence Academy. You can do most of the trainings there. And by the time you finish, when you finish, you can even get your certificates on there. Until next time, please stay safe, be blessed, and be kind.